Hey friends! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Carolyn and I talk about books. Today we're going to be talking about something that could be seen as a negative thing in the book community, but I find it very empowering, and that is DNFing books, or not finishing. DNF stands for did not finish, for those of you that are new to BookTube. I used to be under the impression that it was not good to DNF a book. I paid for the book. Isn't it wasting money if I don't finish the book? And then I realized that time is money. Therefore, if I'm not enjoying it, isn't it also kind of a waste of my time? There are so many wonderful books out there and not enough time to read them all in, so I just feel like if a book is not entertaining you, it's not educating you, it's not serving you, it's just time to kiss it goodbye and let it flutter into the wind for somebody else to enjoy. A lot of the books that I have DNF'd, I don't actually own anymore. I figured they probably would be enjoyed by somebody else, so I've given them away or I've donated them to local hospitals, so they're not really in my collection anymore. But for whatever reason, I do have several books that I have DNF'd that I've kept, and I can tell you why I didn't like them and why they're still in my collection. Slight disclaimer on this: just because a book did not work for me and I did not finish it does not mean that it is a bad book, does not mean that it doesn't have merit, and it does not mean that you will not enjoy it or that I don't agree with you if you do enjoy it. We can all be adults and talk about the reasons we may not have enjoyed a book. The first book that I still have in my collection that I have DNF'd is Girl Online on Tour by Zoe Sugg. I still have this one in my collection because I still have the first one, Girl Online. This is a signed copy, which is why I've hung on to this one. But I'm not a big YA reader. I've kind of since realized this. This was when I first started getting back into reading and was trying to decide what I liked. I've talked about this before. I don't really love the feeling of adult writers writing for teenagers. It doesn't really come across a lot of the time, and I felt like that was kind of the case with these. And I don't love romantic plot lines. I don't know why, maybe I'm just weird, but when it became about a relationship between a girl and a young guy, I just kind of was not really feeling it. It just felt like I wasn't the target demographic, so didn't end up finishing this one, but I have just kept it on my shelf because it looks good with the other one and because it is a signed copy. The next book on my list will come as no surprise to you if you have seen my books I didn't love but why you might love them video, and that is going to be The Kill Order by James Dashner. So I believe this is supposed to be like a prequel to the Maze Runner trilogy, and it doesn't, at least the part that I read, doesn't follow the same characters yet. I think it was just starting to kind of show us what the world looked like before we had the flare, and I just didn't love the Maze Runner books. I didn't love the writing style, didn't love the character development, or in my opinion, lack thereof. And so it was all of a sudden we were reading about characters that we didn't know about, and it was one of those, in the moment it wasn't like painful to read it or anything, but as soon as I closed it I was like, oh, I don't want to pick it back up. And then if I didn't enjoy the original trilogy and I'm not wanting to pick it back up, why am I doing it to myself? The reason I still have it on my shelf is because it's pretty. Look at it. It's shiny. My favorite color is orange. It looks great with the other ones. Whoever designed these, I think, did a really eye-catching job. So I don't know. Is that bad? It just looks good with the rest of the series. I don't know. But that's why it's on my shelf. The next one, again, was featured on the Books I Didn't Love But Why You Might Love Them video, and that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This one, again, it's just a beautiful book. It is so many people's favorite book of all time. It just didn't work for me. It's very atmospheric, and that's really, really great. It's really beautiful, but I just kind of felt like I was up on a cloud watching all of this happening. I didn't feel like there was an investment in the action. I just kind of felt like it was something I was just kind of watching from afar, and it was a little bit slower in pace, not quite as plot driven, at least the parts that I read. But I do feel bad because it was so pretty and so many people love it, and I think that's why I hold on to it, in case there's somebody in my life that does want to read it and it is going to work for them, and I can either loan it out to them or give it to them. It's real pretty and I feel bad, but The next book is Why We Broke Up by Daniel Handler. I think this book is really beautiful. This is, I don't know if all editions are like this, but this one is illustrated. It is about a young girl and she is ending a relationship with her boyfriend and she is giving him back all of the things that she had in a box that reminded her of him and their relationship. She's giving them back to him and writing him this letter about why they broke up. It was another one of those where I don't know why I picked it up because I don't love romance, but at the same time I love drama. And so, I don't know, maybe I just thought like, ooh, why did you break up with him? Like, what went down? And it just wasn't that. It was a little cozier, it was a little more introspective, which I think a lot of people will enjoy, but I just wasn't at the season in my life where I think this was helpful. So I think this definitely has an audience, and I know it is a really, really well-loved book. It's very lengthy in terms of just writing a letter to somebody about why their relationship kind of fell apart. And so I just felt, I don't know, I didn't love the main character either. And so to me it just seemed a little petty. Maybe as we go through we learn more things, but I don't know, it just felt really detailed. I was like, if my ex gave me a letter this long about why they dumped me, whew, that would be a tough read. And so for me, that's just kind of what it boiled down to on this. But it's pretty and it's illustrated, so it's here, it's on the shelf. The next one I have on my list is one that I actually may pick up and continue in the future, and that is The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X. Arpan. And this one is a beautiful, beautiful book about a young girl who has lost her mother to suicide, and she's getting reacquainted with her mother's side of the family. She feels that she is being visited by her mother in the form of a bird. And for someone who struggles with mental health, I love reading books that are popular, that have been really helpful to people kind of throughout their mental health struggle or their process kind of figuring out their mental health. And I heard a lot of people talk about this and how helpful it was. And for me, I flew through about the first half. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it got to be too heavy or too emotional. I feel like because you know what you're getting when you get into this book, because obviously there's a trigger warning for suicide, I think I was okay going into it. I wasn't surprised or shocked by that, but it still is a heavy subject matter and you kind of have to be in the right frame of mind and the right season of life to enjoy it. And I think maybe I kind of hit a period where this wasn't going to be for me, and I have since put it down and just really not felt the pull to pick it back up. But it could be one, there was nothing wrong with this. I think it was handling it in a really appropriate way. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up, and that's kind of why it's remained on my shelf. It wasn't doing anything wrong. I think it's not you, it's me, is what it boils down to. So the next one I have on my list is my most recent DNF, and that is going to be The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan. I read it's not really a series, but I did read the first one, which is The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan, and I really enjoyed this one. This was about a lady named Nina, and she just decided that she was gonna move up to Scotland and rent this giant van and put books in it and do like a traveling bookstore. And it was cute and it was fun. There was a little bit of romance that, again, you know me, it's not my thing. But I still thought it was enjoyable. And it was like just kind of a light, fun, fluffy read. So that's kind of what I was expecting about this one. Nina is in the story, but this is about a girl named Zoe. She's a single mom and she is taking over that bookshop, the traveling bookshop in a van, from Nina while she is expecting a child. And this one had a trigger warning that I didn't know anything about. Like, nobody had said anything on Goodreads, and I had several friends that told me, oh, you're really gonna enjoy this one, and maybe they just forgot. I try to be very open with my mental health, that way people can recommend or not recommend something for me for this reason. There is a trigger warning for self-harm in this, and it deals with a character who is 9 years old, and I just wasn't expecting it, and I just couldn't do it. I was expecting this to be light. I was expecting this to be kind of fun and maybe delve into some serious topics very lightly, and it just got really serious. And then of course the whole time you're wondering, are we going to go back to it? Are we going to revisit it? How much is this going to be involved in the plot? And I just wasn't loving it. I wasn't loving the characters enough to kind of deal with that. So I didn't really get what I think I thought I was signing up for. with this particular one, but I've just kind of kept it because I have the other one, and maybe somebody will enjoy. Like I said, I enjoyed this one, but this one was just kind of sad for me in that regard. The next one I have is by a very popular author, and that is Truly Madly Guilty by Liane Moriarty. I've mentioned, I believe it was in my Gilmore Girls book tag, that I enjoyed The Husband's Secret by her. Big Little Lies was fine too, but The Husband's Secret was my favorite. And so I picked up this one as well. I found this at a thrift store and thought, why not? And this is just really long and like really slow, and like none of the characters are particularly likable. It's kind of like building to like there was this barbecue and something happened at this barbecue and everybody's friendships are different after the barbecue, and I was like, what went down at the barbecue? And then it got to the point where I was like, this drama is like, I don't know, I was thinking it was going to be like The Husband's Secret and stuff was going down, and nothing was really going down, and I didn't really love the characters, and it was just kind of long. Again, there are so many other good books, and it just wasn't one that I was going to keep going at. I looked up some reviews as well, and a lot of other people kind of felt the same way, so it didn't seem like something that people particularly loved when they kind of fought their way through it, so I just felt like, just quit while I'm ahead, right? Or behind. If you don't love a book, are you quitting while you're behind? I quit. And the last two that I have are ones that I actually may revisit because they are by one of my favorite authors, and that is going to be my man Stephen King. First we have Mr. Mercedes. So this is part of a trilogy, I believe, the Bill Hodges trilogy. And I don't really want to give anything away about this, but these are detective novels, and I don't love thrillers or mysteries told from the point of view of a detective. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because it's like their job, they're not as like attached, and it's all about the thrill of the chase and they're figuring it out, and there's like less emotional involvement. I don't know why it is. I'm getting really introspective here, but I just kind of figured that there were other thrillers that were kind of more emotionally pulling me in than this one. I've heard good things about it, so I may pick it up in the future, but like you can see my bookmark, I didn't get super far, but again, other books just kind of took over. May potentially pick it up in the future, who knows. And the last one is also by Stephen King, and that is The Dark Half. This one I got just above like halfway through, and I was really enjoying it at the beginning. I'm like eating my words here because I was reading this one the same time I was reading The Shining, and I remember telling my husband like, this one is just as good as The Shining, I love it. And like I got halfway through and I was like, I lied. But it starts out really, really interesting. There's an author, so he's been writing under a pen name, and somebody discovers that it's him, so he decides to metaphorically kill off the pen name writer, and then he's just gonna write under his own name from now on. But like, then the pen name was a real person or something. I don't really know how the like metaphysical, I don't know how that all worked out, but it was really interesting. Because then the villain was like a guy that you never thought existed, and it was really, really great. And then it just kind of fell apart. And I didn't really know what happened to it, but it just, I don't know. I think the best way that I can phrase this is my husband's family is from Maine, and of course Stephen King is from Maine. A lot of his works are set there, including this one, and I was up in Maine with his family, and I was describing it, and I was like, there's this one called The Dark Half. It started out really great, and then and his aunt literally went, that's the one that just kind of unravels, doesn't it? And I went, yeah, it kind of does. So it may be something that I'll pick up in the future. I kind of want to know how this all happens, but I just thought it started so strong, and then it just kind of fluttered off into the wind. That is one of the motifs in here, is like birds flying, and I was like, that's exactly what this novel's doing. It's just flying away. It just got away from Stephen King, and it got away from my PBR. Alright friends, so those are the books I still have on my shelf that I have DNF'd. If you have loved or enjoyed any of these books, maybe tell me down below what I'm missing, if I am missing something, or what are some of the books that you've DNF'd, or what are some books that you finished and wished you DNF'd and didn't waste the time. I'm a big fan of DNFing books. I feel like life is too short. Even if you've spent the money on it, doesn't mean it's a bad book. There's going to be somebody else out there who may enjoy it, and you can move on to something that you will enjoy as well. I will see you guys in the next video, friends. Bye-bye.